Firefighters are essential to the safety and security of our local communities. We owe it to these men and women to provide them with better training and equipment so they can do their jobs more effectively and safely. In addition to my cousin, there were 30 or 40 guys I grew up with who became firefighters as well. So, I've been around firefighters all my life. Let me get this straight, I can't defend the military because I didn't serve. So does that mean I can't support police officers or firefighters because I've never been one? How about teachers? Can I support them since I've never taught a class before? Having dealt with a lot of real firefighters, I know there are a lot of guys who, for lack of a better term, become addicted to the grief because it has kept them connected to these guys that they felt responsible for having lost. Public sector union organizers have told me about how firefighters, police officers, and nurses can no longer afford to live in the cities they serve and protect. What firefighters and people in our military and cops do is separate from what the rest of us do. Basically these people say, I'm going to protect all these strangers. In too many ways, Ohio is being run for the benefit of those who have already made it, and too many of our friends and neighbors are being left behind. Nowhere is this more evident than in the cuts to police officers, firefighters, nurses, teachers, and to our local schools, while property and sales taxes are going up. To be able to research directly from firefighters makes all the difference in the world in the authenticity of a performance. In the midst of the heartbreak and wreckage of 9/11, the world also witnessed what is America's greatest strength. Firefighters, nurses, police officers, first responders and local residents worked around the clock to rescue and care for those injured. Let me completely condemn these sickening scenes of looting, scenes of vandalism, scenes of thieving, scenes of people attacking police, of people even attacking firefighters. This is criminality pure and simple, and it has to be confronted. About 100 firefighters a year die in the line of duty in the U.S. Heart attacks on the job and vehicle accidents on the way to the fires account for about half. The other half are traumatic deaths while fighting fires. Working with real firefighters keeps us really grounded. How can you possibly complain that your trailer is not at the correct temperature when you are working with a man who ran out of a burning building to save someone's life? My cousin Jerry Lucy and 5 other firefighters died in a warehouse fire in Worcester, Massachusetts. My hometown, right in the middle of our old neighborhood downtown, when a homeless couple started a fire to keep warm and the entire building went up. My cousin died trying to save homeless people who had already left the building. It's an interesting thing to play the heroes of our society, like cops and firefighters. They're the basic heroes that, as little boys and little girls, you look up to as the first heroes of your small, specific community. When you think of the sacrifices our firefighters make, think about the service of soldiers in foreign lands and listen to their lives. You have to be careful that whatever you do, don't cast a shadow on what these great people do. Delaware's firefighters put their lives in jeopardy every day in an effort to keep families safe. We must continue to invest at the local level to help cities, towns, and villages retain teachers, police, firefighters, and other community-enhancing service providers. I was raised on Long Island. There were a lot of cops and firefighters who lived there. There are terrible, terrible memories of September 11th, things that I saw, people that I lost, the devastation, the identification of bodies. I mean, all these memories come back to you at different times. And then the other side of it, this tremendous response with the firefighters and the police officers saving people, the rescue workers. My father's a firefighter. He was my whole life, and my brother-in-law and several family members are firefighters. Whether it's police officers, firefighters, first responders, or 911 dispatchers, many dedicated Americans work long hours, and often in difficult conditions, to make sure that when someone's in need, they can help. In the 9/11 Commission report, one of the things they point out is that firefighters save just about everybody below the fire. I don't think they realize how proud the fire department is of that, because, conceivably, that's all they could have done. They could not have gotten above that fire. My charity is in the business of helping firefighters in any way that we can. For instance, after September 11th we were the second fastest charity to raise and distribute money to the widows and surviving family members of the 343 firefighters who died that day. When I started Third Watch, I knew I was going to be with the firefighters and lifting, so I was doing yoga, running, and swimming, all at the same time. I didn't have a kid then. Now I don't have time for that. I want to spend time with my son and my husband, so it's mainly just yoga now. I'm so proud of Maryland's firefighters, risking their lives to protect others, but we need to protect our protectors with the best equipment, training and resources. Fire itself is very beautiful, and there's an attachment to fire that firefighters have. I think in the end the big issue is that the private sector still needs more help, and the answer is not more big government. I know in my state our reforms allowed us to protect firefighters, police officers, and teachers. For the several thousands of years before they became firefighters and physicians, women were sirens, enchantresses, snares. At times it seems as if female powerlessness is male self-preservation in disguise. And for millennia, this has made for a zero-sum game. A woman's intelligence was a man's deception. Firefighters are some of the most selfless public servants you will ever encounter. My dad's a firefighter, so I know what it's like for policemen and firefighters to be on their own on Christmas Day. Those who purify your water, inspect your meat, and test your kids' toys, as well as a huge number of nurses, teachers, and our soldiers, are public employees. The firefighters who don't hesitate to rush toward danger while you run away from it, they are all public employees. Firefighters don't go on strike. I feel really grateful to be a part of a caste that is dedicated week in and week out to doing good work, and you don't always come across that, but everybody on the call sheet is committed to doing good work. And a big part of that is having these firefighters on set and using our resources. Firefighters are indispensable foot soldiers here at home. The people that are serving you gas, the people that are in your restaurant serving you, the firefighters, and police officers are members of the gay and lesbian community. They're members of our broader community. It would be great if firefighters across the country had the guarantee that they would be making enough money to support their family right from the get-go, but that's not the case. Police and firefighters are great, but they don't create wealth. They protect it. That's crucial. Teaching is a wonderful profession. Teachers help educate people to become good citizens so that citizens can then go create wealth, but they don't create the wealth themselves. Police officers, firefighters, EMTs, they are all out there every single day, literally just a phone call away for anyone who needs them. Why young men from the country become firefighters is hard to explain to people who are not from the country. For most of us, it's not about the rush, which fades with time, or the paycheck. We could earn more working for the railroad or a car dealership. I figure it's about the land. A foundation representing firefighters who die in the line of duty is calling for Congress to strip the Centers for Disease Control of its role investigating firefighter deaths. Cops, more than firefighters, EMTs or other public safety employees, almost always get the first glance of the human condition at the worst, most lethal moments. Nobody calls a cop with good news. I think what should be celebrated about our campaign is we have over 3 million people who have contributed to our campaign: teachers, firefighters, nurses, retirees. They're making up the backbone of this field organization in the country. Firefighters go where they're needed, sometimes ignoring the dangers even when no one is inside a burning building to be saved. I support firefighters. Our firefighters are our last line of defense, baby. I was a big fan of Indiana Jones, then I realized he was kind of a fake hero. The real heroes are the people who work hard and do their stuff right, like firefighters and policemen. Athletes and musicians make astronomical amounts of money. People get paid $100 million to throw a baseball. Shouldn't we all take less and pass some of that money on to others? Think about firefighters, teachers, and policemen. We should celebrate people that are intellectually smart and trying to make this world a better place. I said that when I looked at photographs of the firefighters who went into the Twin Towers, their faces looked to me like Irish faces. I hadn't yet learned how careful outsiders have to be when talking about race in America, and I'd put my foot in it. Someone stood up and said aggressively, "What do you mean by Irish faces?" I think public sector workers, our teachers, our firefighters, our home health workers who work for states, they do God's work. They are some of our most important employees. So many people wanted an adventure. It was really more about finding the cast that I wanted for Expedition Impossible, so it had good diversity, and people could really say, "Oh, there's the firefighters. There's the team of cops, there's the grandpa," so that you can really relate with them. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.